Good afternoon. My name is Xiaofan. I'm the product line manager for TI, managing the clock and timing business. So what you can see here are our latest and greatest clocking device, purposely built for the PCIe Gen 7. This is all future-proof as we're ramping with the Gen 6, but our device actually have the industry lowest additive jitter, which is very important, I think, in the latest generation of Intel, AMD, or the ARM servers, where I think we all heard how incredibly important it is on the connectivity, the interconnect, and when we pumping through all this high bandwidth data. And so in the server, there's actually many of those buffers, right? There are PCIe endpoints. And so we actually have a whole suite of different channel counts.
So is this like a development platform, this one?
Yeah, this is an evaluation board. Basically, this is our main chip, and it has all the SMA connectors that allow people to be able to go test and measure all the jitter. This is our chip. I think this is probably the 20 channel version that we have. We actually cover from 2 channel, 4 channel, 8, all the way up to 20 channels. And depends on whether it's a 1 CPU system or 2 CPU system and different endpoints requirements, so you have the whole family of product to choose from.
So Gen 7, it's like many new functionalities?
Gen 7 is really just about the jitter spec, right? So the PCIe 6 standard committee that actually defines those. As you're increasing the data rate on the PCIe, the requirements on the clock gets tighter and tighter. And so there's already now in the final stage of finalizing the PCIe Gen 7 spectrum, we actually tested all of our latest product to that standard, and we're exceeding with a lot of margin. And so what that means when you're building a clock tree, so you can actually cascade multiple stages of a clock buffer, because as those systems are getting complex, right, from the main server motherboard to the add-in cards and the accelerator cards, all the NIC cards, you actually have many stages of buffer, right, from the main PCIe clock. So having a very low additive jitter and propagation delay is crucial to meet the end-to-end PCIe spec. So this is like when customers are designing with this, choosing this component, it is future-proof for the next generation, so they don't have to go redesign with a new component, qualify a new part in the next generation of processors.
Does this have to do with power?
No, this is clocking, right? So when
clocking.
Clock basically is the heartbeat of the system, right? When you, for any other processor, GPU that needs a clock reference for all the digital to work. And then when you're transferring data between the processors, it's using a standard called the PCIe Express. And that needs 100 megahertz clock reference. And that's basically what this device does, is to be able to fan out this 100 meg data points to all the different PCIe add-in cards endpoint.
So they're all synchronized in the system?
Yes, all the clock and all the endpoints and cards are synchronized. And then that's why it needs this kind of buffer to synchronize the clock source, right, to the common PCIe clock that's generated by the processors.
So it's somewhere in a PCB on the motherboard?
It's mainly on the motherboard, yeah.
And it's been like this since the beginning of PCIe?
Yes.
It's always been this technology there? Is TI the leader in this?
Yes, we are fast growing and expanding our portfolio here, and then this is now, we are the industry lowest jitter clock buffer. And over here you can see we actually have a very small compact solution, which is a clock generator. And in the system there's, especially on those add-in cards, right, we're talking about the NIC card, where sometimes it might not have the PCIe clock source coming from the motherboard. So you need to be able to generate the clock locally on those add-in cards. So that's where this type of clock generator is coming in. And we have this very unique innovation called the bulk acoustic wave. It's a MEMS technology to replace the traditional crystal quartz. So this allows you to actually be able to co-package and integrate it in a very compact solution. And it can also generate very high performance like the PCIe Gen 7. So,
is this something the industry has been looking forward to?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you look at crystal quartz, it's been there for almost 100 years, right? It's a very mature, but it somehow had its own limitation in terms of reliability, robustness, and also from a cost of build. So when you actually be able to manufacture a new MEMS technology to be able to replace those traditional crystal, not only you can manufacture at scale for a cost and efficiency reason, but also to be able to get the high performance at the same time. And then also be able to co-package it very easily with the traditional silicon packaging technology. So then this is actually bringing a lot of benefit both from a performance and cost point of view, right? To enable the next generation server clocking needs.
So I'm from Switzerland, and there was this controversial quartz in the watch industry. Can this be in watches?
So I don't know exactly what you're referring to, like in terms of MEMS in the watches, or
You were talking about quartz, right?
Yeah.
And that's being used in watches to count the time.
Yes.
Is it the same?
No, it's not. Well, I mean, the fundamental physics mechanism is the same, right? Because we are using quartz crystal as kind of the time reference. So
You still have it there.
yeah, but in this is also it's still a piezoelectric, right? So if you look at a crystal, it is a piezoelectric kind of element. But in this, we're basically building it in a CMOS process. So the piezo actually is built on a kind of aluminum nitride thin film using a CMOS wafer manufacturing process. So it is a different alternative than the crystal. So this is not the intent to replace the watch crystal. And then this is really for those high-speed kind of electronic system where the speed of the clock and the jitter performance of the clock is increasing. And then that's where those MEMS technology actually bring a lot of value compared to the traditional quartz.
Before you were talking about 100 megahertz. Is this even faster than before now? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
so
Faster?
this MEMS actually resonated at a 2.5 gigahertz. So this gigahertz resonator is traditionally BAW is used as a RF filter. So actually in all of our mobile phones, there's a lot of the BAW filters use it as an RF filter. But now TI is the first and only one that actually developed this technology for the timing application. And the reason why we choose to do that is because it's a very high frequency reference that we can generate all of these standard clock frequency like 100 megahertz very easily.
All right. Available now?
Yeah, available now. It's in production. You can find it on our ti.com and order EVM and samples right away.